What's up, guys? I'm Riven.
I'm Talos.
We're the Studley Boys. Welcome back to the Studley News Network. And we didn't get a chance to do an episode last week because it was 4th of July weekend, so we will be covering some older stories for this episode. As usual, the timestamps will be down in the description below, as well as all the links to the articles that we're going to cover. If you like our video, you can always support us by liking and subscribing. If you want to hang out with us, we stream on Twitch every Tuesdays, Fridays, and Sundays. With that being said, let's get on with the news.
Let's do it. All right, guys, before we get started with the news for today, we have a couple of announcements of upcoming press conferences for July. The first one up is going to be Ubisoft, where Ubisoft Forward, which is going to be coming up in July 12th. It's kind of a small tidbit, but they're going to be offering a free game, Watch Dogs 2, while you're logged in on your Uplay account. Unfortunately, it's only available for PC games through this promotion, not any console players. Other conferences is going to be Xbox Game Conference. That's going to be in July 23rd. And also Devolver Digital, sometime in mid-July, they're going to have their own press conference. And another possible PS5 exclusive reveal coming sometime soon, says rumors. But I guess that's it for now. On to the news.
Alrighty, so let's roll into the first article. This is a big one here. This story was covered last week. Loot boxes. Lords call for immediate gambling regulation. The House of Lords Gambling Committee says that video game loot boxes should be regulated under gambling laws. So, I'm not familiar with the way UK Parliament works, but I guess the House of Lords is just like one of the many sections of that, and their gambling committee just put out an article saying that loot boxes are indeed gambling.
The House of the Lords is pretty much one of the first tiers, if you want to call it that, of the Parliament, and they don't really have a lot of power in terms of enacting it, but they have a way to kind of upscale it to the higher divisions to actually enact the law. So it's if anything, it's the first step into making this a law of loot boxes as gambling.
So loot boxes have been controversial the last decade. I just wanted to clarify when we say loot boxes, we're not talking about microtransactions here. We're talking about loot boxes. So anything with random rewards. Rewards are randomized.
Surprise mechanics.
Yes, as EA would dub it, surprise mechanics. Yeah. So there's a couple of games out there that do utilize loot boxes. Like Overwatch, Apex Legends, League of Legends, and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But we all know that EA is the most synonymous with loot boxes. They had
Battlefield 2.
Yeah, they had a controversy a couple of years ago. So usually loot boxes involve cosmetic items, but at Battlefield they incorporated pay to win type stuff. Stuff that items that could give you an advantage during the game. Everyone's wanted to start cracking down on it because they felt like it was abusive and exploitative.
And in a way too, it's kind of conceived as gambling in a way because the chances of getting an epic drop is 0.01% or maybe less.
Right.
And so it has that possibility that you'll get that epic part or epic stuff that you need for your game, but they'll make you spend more and more money to get that part that you want or that that item that you need to progress the story or progress the game. And that's where it kind of draws that line of what is considered gambling or not.
Also, I wanted to point out that some of the stuff that you can get, right, like the items that I mentioned that gave you an advantage, you can grind normally for them in the game. But the problem is they made it so that it took a long time to grind for. They offered you this thing hey, listen, that's a long grind, but if you pay so and so, you can get this so much more faster. So they took advantage of people's lack of patience, or lack of self-control for that matter. The mechanics of loot boxes, it's sort of they're sort of programmed like how slot machines work, right? Like slot machines, they're programmed to just give you just a little bit, let you win just a little bit, just to give you that taste of victory. Right? So, and then just makes you want to get invested in it even more. It makes you addicted to that feeling of winning. So you keep investing money into it.
especially those who are susceptible to that kind of addiction,
Mhm.
that having that rush of getting something cool.
Yeah.
It kind of drives to that addicted personality, and
Mhm.
basically spending more and more of your money for this thing that you may or may not get.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it wouldn't necessarily make you a gambler. It's not like I'm gonna, after playing Battlefield, I'm just gonna, go to the nearest casino and like gamble all my money. But for people who, like you mentioned, for people who do have those tendencies, they'll just bring it out of them in like the worst way possible.
Hmm.
And the sad part is, games are usually targeted towards kids, right? So these
Oh
gambling
yes.
mechanics are targeting kids.
And that was a whole big thing too. Like kids are not developed enough to really understand the concept of money and gambling ideas. So they're very susceptible to this
Yeah.
loot boxes. They think that they'll make it more of a norm.
Most kids, they don't like understand the consequences of it, right?
Hmm.
If some kids might be too young, they'll steal their parents' credit cards or something like that, and they don't know the consequences of it. They don't
Hmm.
know that your parents are spending actual money on those items.
Yeah, the whole value of money and what it means.
Yeah, and we've heard plenty of stories of like kids stealing their parents' credit cards and buying digital items with it. So this other BBC article, it talks about this university student who blew all of his savings on FIFA loot boxes. So regarding the story, what do you think? Do you think the game is to blame? I mean, you can almost compare it to the idea that video games make you like violent. Do you really blame it on the game itself, um, or do you blame it on the person?
It's kind of a gray area, but it kind of falls on both in a way. If you need that money basically for like rent or something like and not able to be responsible with your financials, that's kind of on the person and not knowing about it. Because obviously not everyone is going to be like this guy and just spend all their money, but
Right.
there are other people who are in the same situation where, like, let's say they refinance their mortgage or something like that to buy stuff on loot boxes, stuff like that, or the money they get from the government for in terms of like the stimulus check, for example, they blow it on the games and stuff, like sometimes that kind of goes into the individual more so, but
Mhm.
at the same time it's not always their fault. They're you can't you also have to put blame on the actual developer for making it so easy
Yeah.
to kind of do that as well.
Right. 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 Yeah. You got to hold them accountable for it. Yeah.
As
Yeah.
we mentioned before, it's they don't really have the power to make it a law yet, but it's still a good stepping stone. So it's not quite a
Yes.
victory for the gamers out there in the world, but
Yes.
it's definitely a good stepping stone.
Yeah. There's a lot of advantages that can come with this. Well, first off, since like the UK is doing it, there was a story with Belgium I think maybe a couple of years ago. They were cracking down hard on loot boxes and surprise mechanics and stuff like that. But this is important that the UK is doing it, because hopefully other countries will follow. Like hopefully the United States too will follow and start regulating loot boxes as well.
It still feels like a slow process. I don't think it'll be honestly, I don't think it'll happen in the next 5 years. But we can only hope.
Yeah, yeah. And also, this is also good, from a video game developer's point of view as well. A lot of games they almost they almost develop the game solely around the microtransactions.
Hmm. Hmm.
So you don't really have to, like back in the day, we had to grind, right, for items and stuff like that. And nowadays you can just buy it, or buy a loot box. But hopefully it'll put gameplay back on the right track and make it more rewarding to people who actually play the game, rather than to people who are willing to spend money just so they can get it faster. So I think this is like
Yeah,
a very good direction.
as long as they don't make the game too grindy, like we talked about with Battlefield.
Mhm.
But make a good example of this is like Dark Souls, for example. They make it so difficult, but also at the same time, once you defeat that boss without using microtransactions, it's very rewarding because it's all on the player's skill that, oh yes, I did it,
Yep.
not because I bought some equipment to do it.
Right, right,
So
right.
it's all about balancing that mechanic, and I'm hoping developers can think about that in a more creative way than just make it easy. Oh, well, we'll just add loot boxes to help advance the player.
So rolling into our second article, this is a big one, especially with the next gen consoles coming up soon. There's a lot of talk in the industry right now about possibly increasing the standard pricing for video games.
Yes, big time.
So right now, NBA 2K21 is at the front of the story. NBA 2K21's PS5 and Series X versions will cost $69.99, hinting at a next-gen price jump. Okay, so according to the article, 2K Games has announced that it will sell the next-gen PS5 and Xbox Series X versions of the upcoming NBA 2K21 for $70, a $10 increase to the current gen Xbox One and PS4 versions of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Well, specifically with NBA 2K21, the controversy right now is that you literally have to buy the game twice. You have to pay separately for the next gen version and separately for the current version.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you got to pay $60 for the current gen version as well as the $70 for the next gen version.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a bit of a bummer since a couple of games have already announced that they will include next gen. You will be given the game for next gen if you buy it for current gen, right? Like
good example. Yeah, good example. Cyberpunk, exactly.
Yeah.
The fact that they don't offer a free upgrade is kind of effed up. Like not even gonna lie. Like people, assuming people jump into the next gen consoles, it's kind of nice to have that free upgrade.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I don't remember having a like for example in a previous gen, if someone bought it for the PS3, I don't think they ever had a free upgrade for the PS4. So maybe they're just thinking of. So
that's a very good point.
So in a way, just because it's going to be the norm, like with certain titles being a free upgrade, it wasn't the previous norm in previous generations. So they're probably just stuck in their old ways in that regard. So I'm just playing devil's advocate here of like why they would still do that, but at the same time, the fact that other developers are doing that, it kind of sets a red flag for EA, and they're basically adding more fuel to the fire that they're just money hungry.
Yeah, but that's like a really good point that you bring up, though. Like if you buy like The Last of Us from the PS3, right? It's not like you're guaranteed a free upgrade for your PS4. So that's a very good point. But I guess the whole point here is that other companies are doing it, so it's I guess sort of like a show of goodwill to follow along with that. But like you were saying, you're not obligated to do that. You're obligated to to set whatever price you want. You don't have to.
Yeah, exactly.
But here's the thing with NBA 2K21 though, right? It's not like they have a history of ethical business practice. And what I mean by that is they're constantly releasing like this pretty much the same game over and over again, and they'll charge full price every year. And
I mean, they did say that the next PS5 games are going to be made from the ground up, but a lot of people are very skeptical of that, if that's even going to be true or not. Like really the ground up.
Maybe it is though. I mean, if that was the case, maybe it was buying the game twice would be justified. But still though, I mean, a game that's pretty much they release a game and then it's just like an updated roster. Not to mention they pack it with microtransactions and
that's the big reason why people are like really hating on this, is the fact that not only are you playing the game full price, but now they also add in microtransactions. And I guess you have surprise mechanics there as well. I'm not sure if they're going to involve the slot machines like they did before with Madden. But in other previous sports games, I'm not sure if it was included with the 2K20. But or was it 2K20? I forget now. But regardless, they had that slot machine mechanic in one of their games. I want to say it was 2K20 with the NBA. But and that's kind of like why the big kicker is like, why are you going to make this a full price game? And also the price jump, $70, and also have the microtransactions and no free upgrade. So that's kind of like too much happening at once. That's causing a red flag right now with this news.
Yeah, they do offer the Black Mamba edition though. So If you buy it, I think it's like $100, and you get the next gen version as well as the current gen version for only
Okay.
100. So you're pretty much paying $50, uh,
You're
for each
you're pretty
one.
much only saving maybe $10, I think.
No, I think it's 30 because it's 60 and 70. That's like 130, right? That's
Okay, yeah, yeah,
130.
right, yeah.
So
Hmm.
you're saving $30, which I guess is okay. What do you think about Kobe being on the cover, though?
That
You
dude,
think it's
like
too soon? You think it's too soon?
I don't think it's too soon. I think it's the perfect time for it because obviously it's a good like remembrance of Kobe and obviously his daughter
Yeah.
uh, passing away earlier this year. So it's a nice tribute. They're charging you $100 for this version, and if you want the Kobe cover version, and in a way that feels kind of like almost like sneaky in a way, like kind of sleazy in a way,
They kind of taking
where
advantage of Kobe to
yeah,
sell products.
they're basically yeah. That's how I feel a little bit. I feel a little dirty, like because obviously I want the Kobe version because it looks, to be honest, it's one of the better covers out there for it, but I have to pay it like that much more for it. So I feel a little bit like dirty, like thinking about getting a
Cheated.
title like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And the it, they kind of combat that. I don't know if it's true or not, but it would be nice if they included. Oh, the reason why it costs this, but is because the rest of the money is going to go to the Kobe Foundation or some kind of
Yeah.
donation or something.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I don't know if that was ever mentioned in the article here.
I
But
don't.
if they included why it cost that much because of that reason, then maybe I'll feel a little bit better about it.
Yeah. Somehow, I highly doubt it though. But that's just me being cynical. But yeah,
Yeah, I kind of agree with you.
people will still buy it. Because if they can afford to be doing this every year, that means people are buying it. So it's working for them. So
Yeah.
there's not. I don't buy these games, but I can't complain about them either because people
Me
want them.
personally, I don't buy it every single year, but I do buy it like every couple of years because I do notice there are significant updates, and I feel like they it changes enough where it feels new to me. So, like for example, the last time I bought a 2K game was probably like 2019, like the 2K19 version.
Yeah.
So that's already a 3-year jump. So I feel like it's going to be a significant increase in terms of like gameplay and whatnot. So
Mm.
um, in that regard, it's okay. But I get what people like. Yeah, buying it every single year, you probably don't notice a difference.
Now, I mentioned it earlier that there's been talk about possibly increasing the standard pricing for video games for
Hmm.
release uh, to $70. It used to be 50 for a while, and then during PS3 it jumped up. PS4 it stayed the same, and now I guess it only makes sense for the game's pricing to jump up to another $10. Because when you think
I
about
got a
it,
question.
game production is just getting more and more expensive.
Hmm.
So I don't think they can sustain like making games at the rate that they are now at the production cost that they're going for. It almost feels like a Hollywood blockbuster movie production. Like
Hmm.
take The Last of Us for example. Like the whole thing behind that, the whole behind the scenes. I felt like I was watching like a movie being made.
Hmm.
Not to mention the graphics have become so much more realistic, right? There's like orchestral soundtracks. There's
Hmm.
sophisticated
Um,
voice acting. There's motion
hmm.
capture. Not to mention the promotion for the game. It's just much more expensive to make games nowadays.
Yep. But the
Uh,
thing is though, like if they go all digital, for example, and like because a lot of that money kind of goes into the distributors, like those who actually like make the physical copies and ship it out to all these different uh you know other companies and like Walmart and GameStop and all that.
yeah.
But I believe if they cut that part out and make it digital only, wouldn't that make it, I don't know, justified to keep at that price range?
No, I think 60 would be fair. I mean, I don't really know how much the distributors are getting though. If if all the money from their sales were going directly to the developer, I think it would be okay. You know,
Yeah,
but
that's what I'm thinking. And another thing I want to ask you too, real quick, is
yep.
like Was there any like news that you remember when PS3 had that price jump to from 40 to 50? Or sorry, was it
It
60?
was 50 to
So
60.
yeah, from 50 to 60. Was there any like big drama that happened? We weren't really following news, and we were still kids at the time, so it probably didn't really hit us. But
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I skipped that whole era, the
oh,
PS3 era. So I never bought a PS3 game, but everything else did jump up. Even like the price of PC games. I think people complained about it, but I feel like in the end, like
shoot.
here's the thing, right? Game developers, I've always like criticized DLCs because we
Mhm.
always felt like it took a part of the game that should be there from the very beginning and
And
sold it
that
separately.
started with the PS3 error, the PS3 Xbox 360 error.
Yeah, yeah, and I can totally understand why people did that. Like maybe making the game, for $60 just isn't cutting it anymore, and you have to charge extra. Like I could totally understand that, but if they were to release games at a $70 price point nowadays,
And
like
still have DLC?
yeah, that would suck. That would suck. Like if your game is loaded with loot boxes and microtransactions, then no, I don't want a $70 price point. But if your game has like everything in it already, then I would
Mhm.
totally be okay with $70.
It's still game by game or developer by developer basis.
Yeah, yeah. But what this article is arguing though is like, is a $70 price point a good idea? Seeing as we're in the age of COVID, businesses are going bankrupt. People don't have jobs. Is it really a good idea to be charging an extra $10? You think?
Yeah, the timing, like this article says, the timing couldn't be worse. And
Yeah,
I completely agree with this article. Like, this is just horrible.
with the way things are nowadays, like being cooped up at home, and it's sort of like depressing almost. So sometimes video games are that one thing that can keep people sane. So I feel like in the end, if you like the game enough, you will buy it. I feel like people will pay $70. Think about a game that you really, really wanted, right? Let's take Final Fantasy VII Remake. If
Mhm.
it was released, like, if the standard version of it was released for $70, would you have bought it?
If all the games were at 70 price point and that game came out, I think I would totally yes,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah. I pre-ordered it. Like I would definitely pay $70, and I think we both bought the deluxe edition, which was like $90, right?
I think 80.
It was 80. Yeah, it was like 80. So let's just say like it's an extra $20, so it's like 90. Would you have bought it for
Mhm.
$90? I think I still would have, because I really
Yeah.
really wanted that game. I really wanted to play it. It was like a really really good game, and I enjoyed it. So I totally don't regret spending that much money on it.
All right, guys. Moving on to the next article. Something a brand new console is coming out apparently, and it's by Atari. Believe it or not, this is Atari VCS, which is a terrible name by my standards.
Yeah.
It's a VCS 800, and not only is it a terrible name, we just revealed the price of it, and it's super expensive. How much is it, Rivet?
Okay. It's going for $400. So
$400.
yes, so this is a gaming console for all you youngsters out there. This gaming console was like back in like the 80s or something.
Yeah, early mid '80s, I believe. I forget the exact release, but it's basically the dawn of video games. There was one of the very first like popularized consoles that came out,
Yeah.
and it quickly died off. And they became more of a gaming developer than an actual console.
I know a couple of years ago, I know that the whole retro console thing was became such a big hit. With Nintendo releasing the NES Classic and the
Mhm,
Super Nintendo Classic.
mhm.
So I guess Atari wanted to jump in on that bandwagon, but the one thing that separates Atari's retro console with Nintendo's is Nintendo's were affordable.
Yeah. Mhm.
This is $400. Are you willing to pay $400 for games that you can? I'm not advocating this, that you can possibly download and play on the internet, and
And
that's like
the big
also
thing,
like what 30 years old or something like that.
yeah, the big thing with this is a lot of these games are so small. Like think about the memory that most games have nowadays, or like a 500 gig like internal memory for this Tarkov probably fit the entire library and then some. It'll be only like maybe 10-15% of the entire storage of that 500 gigs. So the fact that they're charging that much, and how many games are included, by the way?
So it says here the console is set to give players a whopping 100 Atari games built in at launch, and it seems that players can download additional games.
Okay,
So that's
like
100 games.
In a way, that's pretty cool, but it's not justified at $4.99 because when you think about it, when Nintendo releases their classic retro games, they may have like 20, 25 games tops.
Yeah,
and they could easily have fit more games in their hard drives as well, but it was still affordable though. That was the big kicker.
there were like top quality Super Nintendo games. Chrono Trigger, you had Donkey Kong, you have Yoshi's Island and stuff like that.
Super Mario RPG, I believe, was on there as well.
Super Metroid, Link to the Past. There were like, these are quality games, and I believe that the price point was at the time maybe $100 or something, less than $100.
I forget, but yeah, something like that. But the thing is though, they it was limited, I believe. And a lot of people were like buying a bunch of it and trying to resell it for profit. So in a way, the third party kind of ruined that experience. But in terms of the initial launch from Nintendo, it was indeed affordable.
First off, there's 2 next-gen consoles coming out. You have the Xbox Series X, you have PlayStation 5. Not to mention, we're going through a recession, with the COVID and people being unemployed. I don't know if people really want to spend $400 on a retro console.
Yeah, So if it was at $100-$200, would that be better? You think?
Honestly, no. I wouldn't buy it. I wouldn't buy it for 100 or 2. If it was like maybe $50, I would buy it. 50 or 75 or something like that. But then again, I don't have like childhood nostalgia when it comes to Atari. Like
good point. Yeah,
I bought the Super Nintendo Classic because I grew up on the Super Nintendo, so that was like one of the big things. But I feel like unless you're like a hardcore collector or you really grew up with this stuff, maybe I can see them buying it. But like for most average people, I don't think they're.
Do you know if it's limited?
It doesn't say whether it's limited or not. But they are taking pre-orders though, so maybe they might be basing their production numbers on the amount of pre-orders. Yeah, it says here, order before August 1st to take advantage of the limited time early adopter price. Oh, that's
adopter price.
Yeah, so it might be cheaper for people who pre-order it. It says here, you will receive free shipping and guaranteed delivery by December 24th. What do you think, man? Thumbs up or thumbs down?
I'm gonna say a major thumbs down for me personally. Like nostalgia, I don't have it. Even if I did have it, still not justified. 100 games, still not justified for that price tag.
Yeah.
But hardware, still not. There's nothing here that makes it justified for those who are fans or not.
Yeah, that's a thumbs down from Talos, and that's gonna be a thumbs down for me as well. Save your money for like a PlayStation 5 or something.
Yeah. All right, guys, we're rolling into the next segment, Talos Tidbits. But before we get started, a word from our sponsors. Today's sponsored video is our Amazon affiliate links.
We set up links to the various equipment we use to stream and produce these shows. Every streamer and YouTuber needs a good mic, which is why we use the Blue Yeti microphone.
The mic that we use offers the crisp audio quality at an affordable price. So definitely check out the links down below for affiliate links, and any support there also supports us right here in the show. The first article we're going to talk about is Sony. Sony suggesting here that they're going to patent pretty much a backwards compatibility with PS1, PS2, PS3 games via the cloud. So that's very exciting news for those who love those older classic games. Also, PS5 box art has been revealed. For Battle Royale fans, there's a new game coming out known as Hyperscape, and people compared it to Apex Legends, and currently in closed beta. In Sony news, looks like they invested about $250 million in the developer Epic Games' possible crossover potentials with Fortnite. Maybe we'll see Nathan Drake, I don't know, bashing and doing some Fortnite stuff. We'll see. In other news, horror games coming out, Little Hope coming out October 30th. So from Supermassive, and it looks like a really doozy one. So prepare your extra underwear. Some Watch Dogs news came out with Legions, images of leaks appearing ahead of the Ubisoft event that we discussed earlier. So we might see more of that in developing stories up ahead. Xbox Series S news, aka Lockhart, expected to get a reveal date sometime in August. So once we know more about that, we'll definitely keep you posted. In movie news, looks like Chris Hemsworth might be taking a role as playing Hulk Hogan, I guess. But it looks like he's trying to bulk up for this role. So let's see how this goes. In other movie news, it looks like a sequel is planned coming later this year. Ready Player One. For those who love the first movie, are definitely hyped for its sequel. In gaming/TV news, looks like there's going to be a Fallout TV show. I think we talked about this briefly, but basically Amazon Studios announced a Fallout TV series now with the Westworld creators, Jonathan Nolan and Lisa, and also Lisa Joy serving as producers for this. We don't know the timeline or if it's going to be like a direct resemblance of the games that we know of, but I don't know. We'll keep you posted once we know more. That purge includes Talos Tidbits. Like I said before, check out the sponsor of the video, and off to the main news.
All right, so rolling into some streaming related news. Ninja has been in the news lately. I think a couple of weeks ago we talked about Mixer, Microsoft shutting down Mixer, and now Ninja is I guess testing the waters to see where he'd continue streaming.
Yes. So I'm not sure if you watched a stream that he did on YouTube, but basically he streamed, I believe, on Wednesday around 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and he it was overwhelming. Basically, it peaked at around 150,000 viewers, concurrent viewers, watching him play Fortnite with a couple of his friends. And during the live stream, basically he mentioned that he kind of made jokes about Brime. If you guys remember Brime and that situation and that whole meme thing.
Well, let's talk about that real quick, though.
Okay, go ahead.
So when Microsoft shut down Mixer, right, there were like a lot of rumors and conspiracy theories talking about whether like another streaming platform was gonna grab him and Shroud, and
Yes.
Brime, I believe, was one of the platforms that were on a discussion board.
Yeah,
But
basically there was a Twitter that was created in June, and it basically followed a bunch of big time streamers like Ninja, Shroud, Dr.
Dr.
Disrespect.
Disrespect, yeah.
And basically they're saying that those three are potentials in discussions with Brime. And basically from what was deduced, it was almost like a small business. We're not sure like if it's still a meme. They might still come out with developing platform for streaming, but as of right now they probably don't know how difficult it is to make a streaming platform.
Yeah.
But anybody can create a Twitter and just follow these streamers. So it was quickly debunked that basically they are not joining Brime. Basically, like I mentioned before, like there was a whole like joke that that Ninja said, just to let you know, I have a contract with Brime. I'm gonna be streaming there exclusively. Basically, it was a troll. It was a troll. And
Brime themselves, in a press conference, I believe, maybe like a week or two ago, they confirmed that they aren't working with. They're not trying to grab up Shroud or Ninja or Dr. Disrespect. So
yeah.
So yeah, he streamed on YouTube, and he managed to pick up like a really huge viewer count.
150,000 concurrent viewers is where it peaked out. It averaged around about 100,000. That's the average.
Yeah.
So it never fell below 100,000 until about the ending where he was ending the stream. But he basically mentioned that at the end of the stream that he's not there's no contract made. Like he didn't say that exact words, but he basically said that he was only playing for fun. He just wanted to stream and let people know that he's still alive. He's still doing his thing.
Yeah.
And so he just did it for fun to kind of, like we said before, kind of test the waters.
Yeah.
And in a way, it's kind of smart in terms of Ninja because if there is, according to one tweet that was made from Slasher.
Yeah. If for anyone who doesn't know Slasher, he's pretty much like a someone in the industry who has like a lot of insider information regarding developers and people behind the scenes. So he's
Yes.
pretty credible. Like I was following him for a while when it came to like Overwatch news.
Yeah. And according to this tweet right here, Ninja is currently in negotiations with streaming platforms, but no exclusive deals have yet been made. Yeah, basically today's YouTube live stream from Ninja was all on his own. Maybe he'll stream on Twitch too. So for those that may not know, Ninja had a falling out with Twitch. Yeah, basically the falling out was when Ninja switched to Mixer to exclusively stream on Mixer. And that's when Twitch basically like banned him, like perma banned him. And then when the account was reinstated, they were streaming like porn in his stream
I remember
platform.
that.
Yeah, so like it left that kind of a bad taste in Ninja's mouth. But at the same time, as a business person, it doesn't really matter. Like he can still go back to Twitch. That's not really like what's going to stop him from going to Twitch. But at the same time, the fact that he streamed on YouTube kind of show like there's still demand for Ninja, especially with the 150,000 concurrent viewers.
Yes.
So in a way, it's kind of smart that Ninja did that. Even if it was doing for fun or for fun, quote unquote, for fun, like it still shows that to other platformers that want to have this exclusive deal with him, that if they do get him, there's going to have some kind of falling from that.
Yeah. I was going to ask whether that the controversy with him and Twitch was going to affect his like negotiations with Twitch, but like you pointed out, he's still a very popular guy, and but him streaming on YouTube just showed Twitch how popular he really is. So
yeah,
whatever
it's business.
problems,
It comes down to that's what it is. Number one is just come down to business, like what he wants, and it doesn't matter like all the petty stuff that happened in the past. I'm sure it's in the back of his mind, but at the same time, it just comes down to business. Yeah.
But here's the thing though, like the current like economical climate, you think Twitch will, pay him for that? Like, you think they'll pay him an exclusivity contract?
Let's think about it this way. Like basically they got Ninja for 30 million for Mixer. Obviously, he was paid already 30 million. So I'm not sure what Ninja's goals are, but assuming he wants to get paid more or equivalent to that deal, if they can match that deal and also let him stream in that particular platform, I think he will do it still regardless. No matter if it's Mixer, no matter if it's Facebook Gaming or YouTube Gaming. So it all depends on what his goals are. We can't really speculate on what Ninja's thinking. So he could be thinking about like brand deals or something more than just streaming. So maybe that's only a side hustle for him, where he's thinking about more of a bigger picture. But obviously, we don't know what's in the mind of Ninja at the moment. We can only speculate.
And I think we talked about this in like a previous episode. You were saying how Ninja, he's trying to go for, he's trying to like go beyond what he is right now. He doesn't want to be just known as Ninja the Fortnite streamer, right? He wants to be like a household name. So I guess like what my question is, you think Twitch is like a good idea for him, or maybe he should stay outside of Twitch? Because I feel like if he sticks to Twitch, he pretty much just keeps himself
cemented,
keeps himself, as that, typical streamer. I feel like he can branch out more if he goes into YouTube or Facebook or something like that.
I completely agree with that. Like if that was his mindset, like we said before, like if he goes to YouTube, I think YouTube is probably the best option. If I was in Ninja's shoes as a business person, it makes the most sense to me to stream for YouTube, because YouTube is not just a streaming platform. They also do other content like YouTube content like that we do right here with the news. Like he can do vlogs, he can do brand deals and like do like promotional advertisements on his YouTube channel. I feel like there's a lot more, I guess, variety and openness, opportunity exactly for Ninja for going into YouTube, because obviously even though, and if you think about the landscape of YouTube, like streaming is probably 20% of the whole YouTube maybe for streaming, and the rest is like video content and stuff like that. So me personally, I think it makes most sense, and that's probably why Ninja streamed on YouTube, just to kind of see like is there still demand for him? Is there a viewership for him there? Not just on streaming, but elsewhere. Obviously,
Yeah.
if you look at his YouTube channel, a lot of his videos are more like highlights and stuff like that, but it still generates roughly 200,000 views per video.
Yeah.
If he thinks about branching out, doing other content, because obviously I'm sure you don't want to always game all the time. And I know for me and Riven, like gaming all the time is probably not very healthy. So it's good to kind of branch out, do other things. And it just makes sense to me. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah. No. I completely agree with you there. I feel like he does have a lot of opportunities in YouTube, and he proved all his doubters wrong because the numbers he pulled was just was insane.
Yeah.
Also the thing with like Twitch, I feel like there's just we mentioned this before in another episode. There's just so much controversy right now with Twitch. Like previously, like the whole
Harassment stuff,
DMCA, yeah,
Me Too
like
movement.
like a lot of that Me Too stuff. Like the DMCA. There's just like a lot of like red tape type stuff that happens with when it comes to Twitch. I feel like it's just too restrictive in some ways. You know what I mean?
And
And maybe
something,
maybe Ninja doesn't want to get doesn't want to have to deal with that stuff, and he's got a lot more freedom on YouTube. Um,
And a big thing with the Twitch right now, they're not very good with like discoverability and stuff like that. Whereas YouTube is built on discoverability and all
yes.
and like branching out to other things. So like if he makes a video right now that's not gaming related, but having the name Ninja as the brand Ninja in the title can still generate those multi-million views.
Yeah.
If YouTube actually start investing more into the streaming platform, they can actually, in a way, take over Twitch, because Twitch is just known for streaming, whereas YouTube has streaming and other stuff, but streaming is not really their main priority. But if they would have like made the same kind of like investment in their streaming platform, they could, in a way, take over Twitch because it has the discoverability built into its algorithms, whereas Twitch doesn't.
Yeah.
And as of right now, it's kind of hard to say, but I believe Twitch is slowly declining, especially with all the controversy. But they still have the massive, market share in streaming.
Yeah.
But as we saw before, they went from 70%, I believe, in I want to say 2014 time to 2016, but now they're dropping to 60%, roughly 60% of the market. So if that continues to decline, we'll have to wait and see where Twitch goes from here.
Yeah, there's a lot of potential in on YouTube. He's made so much money right now that like no matter what he decides to do, like he's set for life. So
yeah, that's very true.
Yeah, right now it's he's probably not even doing it for money anymore. He's just doing it for like glory or something like that. So.
Yeah, exactly. Especially if you reinvest into this brand, into like kind of like what we were saying, like branch out to other things, he can definitely do other things than just known as a streamer.
Yeah.
When you think about it before, look at the Rock before. He was known as the wrestler, but he was able to branch out. Now there's generations now that don't even think of him as a wrestler anymore. They don't even know he was a wrestler. They know him as a movie star. So that's kind of like where I see Ninja. He wants to be known more as a streamer, or not as a streamer anymore, but as something else. We just have to wait and see.
Alrighty, moving into our last article. This is related to The Last of Us Part 2. Now, neither me and Talos have finished the game yet, so we're not going to talk about any storyline related stuff or spoilers. But there's some controversy right now with Laura Bailey, the character who plays Abby, and Neil Druckmann, the director of The Last of Us 2. So in this IGN article, The Last of Us Part 2's Laura Bailey, Neil Druckmann, and Naughty Dog response to online harassment. So I'm on Twitter, and I follow Laura Bailey. So if anyone who doesn't know who she is, she's like a really, really talented voice actress. I'm pretty sure we've all heard her before. She started off in anime, and now she does, I think, primarily just video games now. She was... She played Abby in The Last of Us Part 2. And Abby isn't exactly the most popular character right now.
Definitely divisive character, yep.
Yeah. I mean, nothing about her is likable. But when there's like a show or a piece of medium that has a terrible character, there's a couple of people who will lash out at the people who play them, So
or the producers or developers and directors that made it as well.
Right. So she put out a tweet it was like a compilation of like a bunch of people that was pretty much telling her how much they hate her and that they want her to die and that they're gonna kill her.
Yeah, death threats.
And yeah, they even went as far. One of them even went as far as to threaten her kid.
Obviously, the people are very, very passionate about this game.
Yes.
Like that's the big thing. Like when it comes to any kind of media that we talked about, whether it be like the horrific, Game of Thrones finale, a lot of
Yes.
people hated that. The producers that made that and kind of rushed it. And of course, this game. There's also positive stuff that can happen from like they love it so much where they're like, oh, Troy Baker, I love you, and blah blah. Like stuff, there's some positive stuff that happen with that as well.
Yeah.
But so the point I'm trying to get across is fans who love a certain media are very, very passionate,
Right.
and they kind of associate that character so much to that person who plays it, whether it be a voice actor or an actor in a movie or whatever.
Yes.
And they think that that person is the same or somehow related or had some idea or like what's it called direction in that character. But most of these actors, they don't have direction in their character. They're just playing a role as excellent as they can. So, but people can't separate that. I don't know why. Like me personally, I can't see why they can't. But at the same time, I get it, but it's not their fault. But
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah,
it's weird.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned Game of Thrones because there were two examples in Game of Thrones. I forgot the guy's name. I think it was like Jack Gleason or something. He was the kid that played Joffrey, right?
Yes,
so
that's a big one. Yeah,
yeah. So Joffrey was pretty much like, most of the characters in Game of Thrones are all in the gray area, but I feel like Joffrey had no redeeming factors. He was just like rotten to the core. So there was nothing likable about him, and people hated him, and that hate extended to the actor himself.
Mm-hmm.
To the point that I believe he quit acting because of all the negative feedback that he got.
Damn.
It wasn't negative in the sense that he played the character terribly. In fact, it's more like a testament to his good acting that he played such a very good villain. So that just means he's like a really, really talented actor. But like you mentioned, some people just can't tell the difference between like the real person versus like the fictional character that they play. And also it also extends to Lena Headey. She played
Yes.
Cersei. She did a wonderful job with her, but she also got her fair share of hate as well.
Going back to The Last of Us Part 2, that kind of extends to Abby. Like we talked about before, like we said, we haven't finished the game. As of right now, like if you we can see why basically that people would hate her, but at the same time, it just shows a testament to the writing, like how much you can like make a character so hateable in a game, and it like going back to Game of Thrones, like it shows a testament of the actor who plays it as well as the writing that goes behind it, and like how you can you can fuel people to hating this character so much.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't even think it has anything to do with like the writing. It could have bad writing, it can have good writing, but the fact of the matter is, these people are just, they're not them in real life. People are passionate about the game. I feel like that criticism that they display for the game, it's born from like the same thing that made them love the game. It's and people tend to criticize the thing that they love the most, because they only want like the best for it. It's sad though, because I feel like every show or every video game needs to have like some sort of disclaimer at the beginning, right? Like, I
believe they do, don't they? I believe they do.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, but something specific like the views of the characters do not reflect the people who play them.
Yeah, if I recall correctly, I believe I saw that on The Last of Us. Yes. But also TV shows as well. Like they typically have at the end, maybe at the beginning somehow, but they typically do say that the views of the whatever, like you said. But I believe they did.
Yeah, and it's just sad that has to be a thing. So, all right, that's it for the news for now. Thank you guys for watching, and stay tuned. We'll try to keep you guys updated on developing stories. And as usual, if you liked the video, you can always support us by liking and subscribing. And comment down below, where do you think Ninja will stream exclusively for?
And of course, while you guys are down there, be sure to check out our Amazon affiliate links in the description down below. And of course, you can also follow us on Twitch. We stream Tuesdays, Fridays, and Sundays.
This is Ribbon and Talos signing out. See you guys later.
Later, guys.